Hello, CC families and friends. This is Robert Borton, CEO of Classical Conversations, and I'm excited to be here with one of our premier sponsors from Gutenberg College, Elliot Garceau. I found out earlier that him and I both started at our respective organizations around 2012. I'm so excited to be here with them and letting you guys know about this unique opportunity for your college students. And they're located in Eugene, Oregon, which is beautiful, beautiful part of the country. And I haven't been there myself, but I've got friends who live out that way. And so, Elliot, just tell us a little bit about your family. I understand that you homeschool your three kids, and a little bit about your story as well.
Sure, absolutely. Born and raised in Baltimore. My wife Kate and I, we have three kids. They are ages 10, 8, and 5. We have been homeschooling them from the very beginning, and it's been an incredibly rich and rewarding experience for us as parents and as a family. I'm also a musician. Been playing Irish traditional music on the tin whistle and uilleann pipes and fiddle for the past forever.
We know all about the tin whistle at Classical Conversations.
Yes, yes, I've heard. And yeah, moved to Eugene in 2007 to do grad school and ran into Gutenberg College here and love it.
Awesome. Now, I know we spoke earlier about your student to faculty ratio. You guys have 5 full-time tutors and 1 part-time, and you guys are growing. You're looking to get to 80 to 100 students, but currently have 16.
hmm
And just wanted to know, can people still enroll for this fall, or are you guys starting to look at next spring or next fall? How's that looking for you guys?
The term starts the last week of September, so there are still openings for families who are looking for a Christian Great Books College to send kids to. Definitely still open, and absolutely accepting applications for fall of 21 also.
Awesome. Now, what does that mean, a Great Books College?
Great Books College? Well, we read the classics. So everything from Epic of Gilgamesh in ancient Mesopotamia up through postmodernism and what's going on in the 21st century. And so rather than put students in touch with textbooks and summaries and things like that, we like to have them encounter the primary sources and discuss them in small groups. So they're the ones who are really confronting the author's ideas, what they're saying, and trying to make decisions about, how we're going to live in light of what they're saying.
That's great. That's really important to us at Classical Conversations is to read from the authors themselves and discuss the good, the bad, and the ugly, and what does that mean to us today, and how do we discover truth, beauty, and goodness. And so it sounds like just a continuation of really what our high school students are doing in many ways.
Yeah, I've heard some parents describe it as kind of the next four challenge levels.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit why Classical Conversations graduates are a good fit for Gutenberg, and why you are seeking them out.
Well, I think that when it comes to homeschooling, I think there are some significant advantages for the learner. There's a lot of personalized attention. There's a lot of dialogue. It's highly personalized. And what I've seen from classical conversations is just incredible outcomes for students and families. Their students are thoughtful, they have amazing eye contact, they communicate well, they're kind, they're generous, they're gracious, they know how to participate in a community. And Gutenberg College is nothing if not a community of learners. So I mean, when it comes to figuring out, what I think is true and how I'm going to live my life, there has to be a certain level of trust there. There has to be a certain level of trust because if I'm going to, take my most cherished beliefs and turn them over and look at them and see, is this how I'm going to live? You got to have trust with the people in the room so that others can point out, hey, what do you mean by that? Or how are you thinking about this? And it helps everybody sort of become mature together when you have trust and vulnerability in a community. So our hope is that the education that they get at Gutenberg will transform them for the better. I mean, that's our hope, and it sounds like what CC is interested in as well.
Yes, absolutely. Just so impressed again with that student to tutor ratio and being able to pour into those lives. So, I would think that that would be a very costly enterprise, but I saw on your website it's just about $20,000 a year, including room and board. So, like, what type of are they all in a house together, or multiple houses, or what's that look like living on campus or at Gutenberg?
Sure, that's a great question. So Gutenberg College is in a 17,000 square foot Jacobean style house that's about 100 years old.
Wow.
The students who are residents live on the second floor of the house. We have a separate wing for men and women, and each men and women's hall shares facilities. And so students may oftentimes live up on the second floor. They take care of the facility together, actually. So there's very much a communal live-in, care for the building, care for each other sort of project going on. So those who live in the house, some will be assigned to do, kitchen duty or take care of the yard or the garden or do that sort of stuff.
Hmm.
So it's a bit like a live-in, learn-in sort of total experience.
That's awesome, teaching life skills along with just exploring what life should look like as a Christian and as a classical educated student. And I was classically educated in high school. My mom didn't start classical conversations until I was a freshman, so I didn't necessarily get the whole kit and caboodle. Although I have three kids myself, my oldest is 6, and so we're doing, obviously going through CC with her, and I'm getting to experience the grammar stage for the first time. But you were homeschooled a little bit, or you went to classical education yourself?
Yeah, I went to mix of public and private school. My high
Okay.
school was classical. I went to a Jesuit high school, and they were throwing Euclid and physics and all that kind of stuff my way. But my education is ongoing, so
Yes.
I feel like classical high school definitely helped.
Yeah, we say we try to build lifelong learners and a love of learning through classical education and through classical conversations. What are one or two things about your college that stand out and that you want people to know about?
I think, I mean, one is the curriculum that we do the great books and that students on a daily basis are, brought into contact with the big questions. Who is man? Who is God? What is love? What is justice? How should I live in light of these things? So, I mean, I think that's a fairly distinctive and significant approach for students who are in a position to benefit from it. I think the other piece that makes that work is our smallness, the community aspect of it. So people have a chance to interact with the big questions in a group of people who are there to encourage them and support them. So when students come to Gutenberg as a freshman class, they do enter as a cohort. There's one degree, there's a Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts. And that core cohort takes every class together in the same order for 4 years. I mean, they see each other every day for 4 years, and they see us, 5 tutors, just about every day for 4 years. So we find that it has been a huge help for the curriculum and its deep interpersonal nature to be coupled with our community approach.
Awesome. That sounds so much like you said earlier, that the next 4 years of challenge. And you guys have here an early confirmation grant to help cover some of the costs for your freshman year, as well as a scholarship specifically for classical conversation students. So can you tell me a little bit about what those are?
Absolutely. So for students for Fall 21, who apply by December 1st and are accepted by January 1st, they get an early confirmation grant of $1,000 off their tuition to help with their first year of expenses. The Classical Conversations Challenge Grant can be added to that early confirmation grant, and that's a $2,000 4-year renewable grant for Classical Conversations grads.
Awesome. So you put your money where your mouth is, and you guys are, I mean, that's awesome. So $9,000 savings just for being in classical conversations. Now more than pays, I think, for your whole entire challenge courses for those 6 years. So that's awesome. A great return on investment, especially those tutors. Can you tell us a little bit about the other tutors that are there with you? Like, what's their background, or how long have they been with the college? You've been there 8 years, so that's great.
Yeah, absolutely. So, my background's in music. I have a doctorate in musicology. Um, our president, Chris Swanson, has a PhD in physics. He's one of the founders. Charlie Dewberry has a PhD in philosophy of science, also a founder. Ron Julian, who is our Bible scholar linguist, master's degree in linguistics, and Chris Alderman, who is our language teacher and writing instructor, teaches classical Greek and also modern German.
Mm.
He has a master's degree in literature as well. So we've been working. Some of these guys, I mean, they've been around a lot longer than I have, but I love my colleagues. They're just incredible human beings and really care about the students. So I feel fortunate to be here.
Awesome. So what languages do you guys learn at Gutenberg?
Yeah, well, we started them off with classical Greek, so the sort of Greek that Plato wrote his dialogues in, and students learn to translate Platonic dialogues among other ancient sources. Our hope with Greek is that that will give students the tools they need to read the Bible in the original Koine Greek, so that they can get right to the source and figure that stuff out. It's important to us. And German is just a really different language from English in terms of its syntax and how it's put together. So a big piece of having discussion-based education is figuring out, like, how do I communicate my thoughts? How do I communicate with others with kindness? And we've found that throwing two different languages at students that are really quite different kind of brings into high relief, like, oh, this is how these people communicate. How am I communicating? And it's been a huge benefit, I think.
I love that. I love being able to have the students read the original, or as original as we can get to, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Bible in the Greek. And I know just we do Latin here at Classical Conversations, so I mean that really goes right in well with then going into Greek. And I just remember hearing a story from Lisa Bailey, who's one of our practicum speakers, about how they went to Rome and they were standing by the Colosseum reading the Latin off the side of the building and translating it together as a family.
Wow.
And people were coming up and saying, "Where's the plaque that you're reading?" And they're like, "We're just reading the wall," And being able to do that same thing with the Bible would be so powerful and so rewarding, a lifelong reward for a student. And so that's awesome. Um, what's the background of your students? Where do you see them coming from? Are homeschooling, from Oregon, private school, or all over? What's your husband experience with that?
Yeah, I'd say about two-thirds of our students have a homeschooling background of some sort. I mean, as you can imagine, a big old house with great books is a little bit different from what you would see in a mainstream university and college and things like that. So we're finding that homeschooled students who are used to community, used to dealing with the questions, they sort of see what it is that we're up to pretty readily, I think. Our other students come from public and private school backgrounds, and they're either looking for something totally different from what they're used to, or they're looking to build on the classical education that they had as high school students. So we've had students come from all over the place. We've got students coming from New York, Minnesota, California. This coming fall, we've got a student here from Canada. We've had students from Lithuania, all over the place. So some Oregonians, but plenty from elsewhere.
Awesome. If you are a student and maybe you haven't figured out what you're doing this fall, or you're a rising junior or senior, what are some of the things you would recommend that they do to, one, learn about your college, and then just one, prepare for college in general, if that's the route that they're on?
Sure. I mean, I think what's really helpful is, I mean, just to pause for a moment and know that God has a plan, and just remember that, not to be swept away by the world's expectations and pressures and timelines, all that. I would say just put that on hold for a minute and be at peace.
Great.
I would know that I would remind myself that the kind of education that you get in classical conversations is exceptional, and that even though it looks really different from what happens in other places, it's very good preparation of seen it with my own eyes. So be encouraged and be at peace. In terms of prep, I would ask myself as a college-bound student or as a parent, just have an open conversation. What's the purpose of college? What is it that we're hoping to do, and why are we hoping to do it? Um, I heard a great talk from a man named John Seal who kind of broke colleges down into credentialing. I want to get a credential so that I can have a particular kind of career. There's certification for those who want to go into a certain vocation, and then there's wisdom. So as I'm looking at the landscape of these three types of colleges, what do I feel like I'm best prepared for? What am I interested in? What am I ready for? And then if someone decides, yeah, I think I'm ready to do the wisdom route, that's of interest to me, and Gutenberg seems like a good place. I would study language. I would get my head around history well and try to understand sort of how the pieces fit together, and that sort of thing. Would love it for people to reach out to me directly. I love to talk with families and students, just answer questions, like we're talking about right now. So they'd be more than welcome to contact me directly.
Awesome. Do you guys have like a weekend where you encourage people to visit, like as a group, or is it just come by whenever is suitable for them? Is there a way to come visit?
Absolutely. We have a Preview Days event that's coming up in October. I think it's 24th and 25th. It's the last Friday and Saturday of the month. And students are invited to come and hang out with the community and have dinner with us and sit in on classes and see what it's all about. And we also have, if that doesn't work for folks, call me up and we'll figure out a time that works for you.
Awesome. Is there a best way to reach you through your website? What is your web address? I'm sure we'll put it down in the links below.
Absolutely. It's gutenberg.edu, but my email address is egrasso, EGRASSO, at Gutenberg, BERG.edu. And would love to hear from you.
Awesome. Well, if Gutenberg sounds like a place for your student or someone you know, be sure you like this video and you share it with your friends. It's such a great opportunity for students to continue on with a great classical education that they've been poured into for years, and the sacrifices you have made. It's a way of just continuing that and continuing to just reap those rewards. I know I see statistics about those people who go to, like you said, to get credentialed so they can do a certain career. It's something like 17 to 25% of graduates are actually in the career they expected themselves to be in, just like 3 or 4 years after college. So that's definitely an eye-opening that maybe that 17 and 18-year-olds maybe don't know as much as they think they do on what they want to do after school. And of course, with the ever-changing economy, definitely encourage people to seek wisdom because that will always be in high demand. So, Elliot, thank you for having spent time with us today and telling us about your unique college. It sounds incredible. And of course, if I ever get out there, I'd love to come visit it. And I would just encourage everyone to check out gutenberg.edu. Come visit at the end of October. And again, check it out. Elliot, any last words?
Been a pleasure, Robert, and thank you all for what you're doing as homeschooling parents. It is a huge, huge, huge gift to this nation and to your families that you are investing so well and so much into classical conversations. So, as one homeschooling parent to another, thank you.
Awesome. Well, have a great day. God bless.
Same to you, Robert.